Today's topic is about balancing desire for change and our passion for change and acceptance of what is. Because how often do we feel like, oh my gosh, I know that the world needs to change. There are things that people are just doing without being awake to it. And they're harming the planet, and they're harming the animals, and they're harming each other, and they're harming themselves. And we know better. So we get so excited about our message, and we want to beat them over the head with it so they'll wake up and get with the program, and so that we can all have more peace, more health, better health, more sustainability, more compassion in the world, living with love and compassion. And then we remember, okay, wait a minute though. Speaking of love and compassion, that is the basic message. That's the basic premise of what we all really care about, living in a world of peace, of love and compassion. So how do we balance this desire for change with the acceptance of what is in the moment, what is before us? So this has been an interesting walking for me. I will say the Community for Conscious Living Meditation and Healing Circle began 7 years ago from tomorrow on a Sunday. So this is the 7-year anniversary technically of Meditation and Healing Circle. Been doing this every week for 7 years, and I think I've missed two times. One when when my nephew passed away, and one when I was in the emergency room with my father. So it's very exciting to bring you what I hope is things that is support and help and healing around things that you struggle with on a daily basis. That because we live in a world of duality, of multiplicity. We are beings of love and compassion, and yet our nature is that we separate from our core truth and our oneness with all that is, and we would test the boundaries of nature, right? How far can we push it this way or that way before we cause enough pain to ourselves that we realize it and we feel that desire to find our way home to ourselves, home to our truth, home to our connection, home to our Mother Earth. And we've pushed it pretty far, right? Over the history of humanity. I do believe when you look at the bigger picture, we are on our way back home, and we're close. And as we get, just collectively speaking, as we get close, the dualities, the contrasts really show up pretty starkly. Now, I started this 7 years ago, and right after I started, literally, it was in September 7 years ago. A few weeks later, my father's wife passed away. And my father was 94 at the time, and it really, it was a sad occasion for us. And I really struggled with him living alone. I didn't want to see him living alone. It scared me. He had congestive heart failure. He'd been on blood thinners for a long time. He, I worried because there was so much risk, right? And didn't even realize how sick he was until I moved in with him. I decided I could not stand to see him living alone. I was terrified. So I left. I was in Florida at the time. I left Florida, moved back to Texas, and moved in with him. And guess what? 7 years later, here we are. And I'm still here with him. And I wouldn't change a thing. I really appreciate every second of this time that I've had with him, and would not, I don't want it to end. He's going to be 101 years old in October. And so it's been a beautiful time. It's been a time of growth, of expansion, but it's also brought many challenges. When I lived by myself, I lived a vegan lifestyle for many years. I first went vegetarian in 1990. I don't remember when I went full on vegan, but being able to live in my own space and not have animal products in my house, not have anything that reminded me of that. I lived without television. I did meditation a lot and exercise, working out. I had a beautiful routine. I woke up every morning, and from 4 to 6 in the morning, I did my meditation and just got into this amazing space. And then I would check, what's on the agenda for the day, what's the schedule for the day, take a glance at the emails, and then I'd go for my workout, for a run, or, I was running half marathons more than marathons, but occasionally a marathon back then. And, was just really loving life. I ate healthy. It was everything that I wanted my life to be. Now, moving in with my dad, it's very different. Oh boy, I could tell you some things. The house is full of, things that I did not have in my life before. And especially the consumption and use and display of animal products and things that I would never have in my own home if I were living alone or living with someone of like mind, I should say. So that's been a huge adjustment. And also television. I said I didn't have television, and now the television is on from 7 a.m. until midnight. Those are the hours that he's awake, and that's his form of interaction and entertainment. And yes, we do other things too. We do, get out during the day and do things. But that's been a huge one. It's also put a lot in front of my eyes that I was able to keep more in denial before when I was living my happy life. So I've become a little bit more fired up about some of the things that are status quo in the world that are not like fostering peace, right? And there's a lot of it. I'm a lot more the dualities and dichotomies and the divisiveness is really, I'm seeing a lot more of it than I did before because I was able to live in my bubble, not able to live in my bubble anymore. And so I feel that passion and that desire to change. And I see things here in this town that, oh boy, a lot of poverty here, a lot of, again, things that really pull on the heartstrings when you see families in need and in challenging situations and the violence and the abuse and everything that, that goes on this is a small refinery town. It's a poorer, economically poorer community. And, and there's a lot of struggle here. So again, it's like, oh, wow, my desire for change, my principles that I hold, and really being able to be with what is from a place of love and compassion and acceptance. I definitely see how we could all do better, but you can't just go beat people over the head and say, hey, wake up already. Don't you know if we just make all these changes right here, right now, we'll all be better off? It's not so easy. So this is something I've struggled with and have not mastered, but together, God willing, we're going to move through some pieces today because I have been getting some insights about it. And so I do want to share it with you. And when we open up for our Q&A at the end of the Meditation and Healing Circle, I hope that you'll share your insights with me too. Okay, so let's come into our Meditation and Healing Circle. Let's come into our circle sitting side by side.